On classroom training versus online training, and this also was quite an interesting topic. And then the key one for me was how to implement it. So we asked the people about, okay, it's all very well saying we should have online training, but how do we implement such training? Each of those in a little bit more detail. The meeting member countries' needs, we asked these following questions. Have the developing countries' training needs changed since 1979 when APT first started the training courses? And clearly they have. Everybody was quite, there was no question that this hadn't happened. And I can remember when I did my training, we used to say how the electrons flow through a valve and through a transistor. Now you look at an IC and it's got hundreds of transistors into it. And I remember one of my technicians telling me, Stu, we don't care. You have two wires that come in and two wires that go out, and what goes on in between, we don't care. So certainly the way technology has changed means what needs to be trained has changed quite a lot. The other thing that's changed a lot is institutional arrangements. Back 30 years ago, virtually everybody was the good old Post and Telecom department, a ministry that looked after everything. And today, ideally, we have the ministry which looks after policy, and a separate organisation as the regulator who looks after regulatory issues, and then we have the operator, which is again separate. So these functions are all being split out into three, and this means that the training needs for each of these sections have changed as well. The next question was, what are their needs? And this is, once again, each year APT sends out a survey form asking for people's training needs for the year. And we get the responses back, but sometimes it's quite difficult for us to actually ascertain what the people need. People might say spectrum management, for example, but spectrum management covers a very wide field. And there are many, many different things that there. So we can run a course on spectrum management and completely miss the target. So the meeting, one of the key things that they came up was the need to have long titles so that you actually define the need much greater. How can we best assess their needs? Well, once again, we talked about the survey need, but also the groups recommended that when the trainees come to the meeting, we actually ask them, because they're the ones who have been trained. So that instead of just sending it to the focal point and asking them to come back with their needs, then we should actually ask the trainees what they believe their needs are. And I think this is quite relevant. I know one country that that when we ask them what is their needs when the survey form, they come back with over 100 topics. And so clearly it's impossible for us to evaluate 100 topics. And then how we can best meet their needs. And there's quite a lot of discussion about the different arrangements that we could have to actually better meet the needs to what we are presently doing. The next question we asked all of the roundtables was the possible restructure of APT training program, and the groups then had, the first question was, is the current structure delivering the maximum benefit to the members? And everybody agreed, including the training establishments, that this could be improved upon, and there were a number of suggestions on how this could do this. Next question was, can we make the structure more efficient and more effective? And everybody agreed that this could be done, and once again we had a whole host of recommendations to look at. And will an alternate structure deliver a better value to members? Because it's quite easy sometimes to say, well, we can do it this way or we can do it that way. But one of the participants made the comment that actually there's a cost involved, and while things might be ideally where we ask the country what their needs are, and then we ask a training organisation to provide that training course. Sometimes it's just not cost effective to do so, and we have to look at the reality of it. One of the other very interesting comments that came up was the fact is that we have training centres in Japan, Thailand, China and India at the current, and to get people from the Pacific to these training courses is quite expensive. And also when Pacific Islanders go to an Asian country or India, often the food is not what they're used to. Often the training facilities are not what the accommodation facilities are not what they're used to, and they are suffering from jet lag by the time they get there. So the suggestion was, okay, we get two people from the training establishment and come to a regional training centre in the Pacific, and we run the course there. So we're talking with USP about the possibility of them operating the training course where we bring two trainers from one of our existing training centres to Fiji, and they run the training course in Fiji. And this would mean that many more people could attend the course and be much more cost effective. The fellowship arrangements. I know that many of the Pacific Islands will look at this and say, why are you asking that question, Stu? The reality of it is that, not so much from the Pacific, but I can tell you that when you go to the training course and you talk to the participants, often people will say, this is a very interesting, this is a very good training course, I'm really enjoying it. But also we get the comments like, oh, if the per diem was this low, I wouldn't have come because I can't make enough money. And another one, whereas somebody from the printing office has been sent because he's a perk, you know, oh, the boss said I could go for an overseas trip. So we are spending a lot of money to run these training courses, and then when we find out that we have people that who are misusing the process, if you like, who haven't come to get trained, it's kind of disappointing. So everybody actually appreciated this, these points, and so they made the comment that we need to be much more stricter in selecting the participants. So from the Pacific Islands Administrators' point of view, we're going to be looking very much more carefully at the people that have been sent. This is because we want to make sure that the appropriate and the right person has been sent. And as I mentioned, it's not targeted at the Pacific, it's all Asia and the Pacific, but we are being asked to do that there. Also, the question of pastoral fellowships was raised. We note that in the normal ITU Centre of Excellence type programs, there's no fellowships. NISA's program provides full fellowships, I think, but the other programs there's no fellowships. And so people are saying, well, APT, you're spending a lot of money on providing full fellowships. So the question was raised about partial fellowships, and even the member countries that were present sort of had some support for this. Because they feel that if the country has some ownership of the training, then we are probably more likely to get the right person. Then the last question was, are the selection process for fellowship training and criteria appropriate? This was very interesting. Many of the countries complained that the English of some of the presenters wasn't good enough. But the presenters were busy complaining because the people that come, the English weren't good enough. So it's a two-way street. And so what we really need to do is to be more careful in selecting people that can speak English. And some people have sort of said, at the moment we ask all of the participants, what's your English ability? And of course we always get good. It doesn't matter that there, and then people get to the training course and we find out it's not so good. So some suggestions have been we actually do a telephone call, or we have some sort of test to check the ability of people's English ability. I don't think this is a problem in the Pacific, because the Pacific people are always quite good at English, but certainly in some of the Asian countries that's not the case. And the training establishment certainly took note of the comment that we can't understand some of your instructors. So, the evaluation of training courses and KPIs. We asked the question, how should we evaluate the courses? What are the important KPIs? And how should they be measured? Once again, we had a lot of comments that came back. And one of the comments was that the participants or the trainees, they're asked to evaluate the training course at the training course, and they give the training course paper or the evaluation paper to the course, so they can see, oh, the guy from Samoa, he didn't like our course, or he liked his course. So actually the scores are always incredibly good. In fact, so good you can't believe it, you know. When we receive the report from the training centres, you know, everybody's over 80% approval of the training course. So practically we know that obviously there are some good training courses and some not so good training courses. So the suggestion was that instead of the trainee doing a training course, training evaluation and giving it to the training establishment, they actually send it on the web to us directly, and this would get over, they can say their honest comments without fear of being questioned or criticised by the training course. But interestingly enough, people also suggested that the training course should evaluate the trainees, because at the moment the trainees come to the training course and they go back home, and I know that for some of the APT fellowships that we offer for the different courses, it's embarrassing. You provide a fellowship to the person and he disappears, collects his per diem and disappears. And so what the training course are finding the same thing. People are not interested in the training course. So they suggested that they actually evaluate the trainees, so that you can tell the trainees that when they attend a training course that they are likely to be evaluated as well. And the third one they suggested was that when the person arrives back, their supervisor should also send an evaluation form back to APT to say this training course was of value, and we can see that it was of value, or actually it was of no value. And so then we know that this training course was perhaps a waste of time. Then coming back now to the online training, a lot of discussion once again, what mode of online training should be provided. People talk about online training, but there are many different kinds of online training, from simple whiteboard type applications through to full interactive online training courses. And if any of you have got ITU fellowships, you know you have to do an online training course about security. So those are different types of online training. I had to do this ITU one, and because the server was quite bad, it says it takes you 30 minutes, but it took me about 3 hours actually to do it.
3 to 4.
3 to 4, I guess I said. That's how long it takes. But clearly, we need to decide what sort of online training we need to do, and what type of training courses should be offered using online training. Some courses are actually more suited